to Sports Scope, the most influential sports talk show in the nation.
What is today, the 19th?
Stay tuned for updates and great sports content.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sports Scope. I'm your host, Robert Butler, on this, what's today, the 16th day of August here. Got a lot I want to talk about tonight. Got Rich Ferris coming in from Titans Radio, returning to the program. Going to ask him a little bit about the Titans here. Looks like Trayvon Burks' big scare in practice today. That's been the talk of the afternoon. Looks like he's going to be okay. It's nothing major like a torn ACL or anything like that. Did have a rough fall there. Going to get his answers on that, Buzz, and everything about that particular injury coming up this afternoon. Just now got the information about an hour or so ago. Also, Michael Orr, he is suing his conservatorship, adoptive parents, whatever you want to call it, from the movie The Blind Side. Got a few thoughts on that as well. The Jets, got some thoughts on the Hard Knocks episode 2, plus some offensive line issues still coming back to honing this particular team. Look like that's going to be an issue all preseason and possibly into the regular season for the Aaron Rodgers-led group. So we'll go ahead and take my first and only break here, and I'll be back here in 49 seconds. We'll hit the ground running here on Sports Scope. Hello, Sports Scope followers. The program has seen tremendous growth since going 5 days a week. I just wanted to thank everybody for your cash contributions and sharing the program with friends and families. Just a reminder, if you want to contribute to the program, go to the Cash App, the cash sign, and Sports Scope. There are other ways to contribute to the program listed at the bottom of the screen. If you want to advertise on the program, go to Sports, that is Sports with an S, another S, Scope, SKOPE, at gmail.com, just like it's listed at the bottom of the screen. Thank you and enjoy the program. All righty then. Okay, now I'm back here live on All Leaks. Okay, so just real quick before I get into this Michael Orr stuff, in Rappaport saying that Trayvon Burks is suffering an LCL sprain during practice today. Sources, this is, of course, in Rappaport NFL Network say after the MRI, this is good news. Could only miss a few weeks. A scare, but a solid result considering, this is after he's had his MRI. That was the talk on the internet today. The video looks like he just went up for a deep pass, stumbled, and woke up, got up gingerly. People are, man, you got these doctors online saying that, best case PCL, worst case ACL, but the actual after the MRI is saying LCL, sprained during practice. So, I'll ask Rich Ferris, who covers this team. He don't technically cover the team. He works with 104.5 The Zone, the flagship radio station that covers the team. But he goes to every practice. He sees all the observations. I want to get a update and report from him. Basically, he's an unofficial reporter for here in Sports Scope. We'll talk about what kind of buzz is he getting as far as where's this receiver unit, how it's stacking up, and what does he think about this quarterback unit as far as where they are on the depth chart, because it's one of the more interesting, if you think about it, battles of the preseason. Now, Tennessee will play 7 Eastern p.m. Saturday. They'll play the Vikings there. You may get some starters in that game, per se. So I'm going to ask him about that at the in 30 minutes past the hour. So, anyways, all right. Last couple of days here, Michael Oher. I'm out of Nashville, Memphis area, northern Mississippi area. The famous movie The Blind Side. Michael with Pickles thinks he could be limited a few weeks. Yeah. So even if he did go down for the year, going back to that with Burks, the thing is, how big was the DeAndre Hopkins signing now? So it turns out to be a really big deal for Tennessee. Okay, now Michael Oher. Sandra Bullock, by the way, won Academy Award in that movie, The Blind Side. It was taken from a 2006 book. The movie was made in 2009. He is now saying, Oher has not been in the NFL since 2015. He played 8 years in the league, made about $34 million, lives here in the Nashville area now, Pickles. He's been out of the league a few years, got the wife, got the kids, and I think he's 3-4 kids, something like that. He's got a new book coming out. So there's a little pretext here, but supposedly he's suing this family now, the one that brought him in their house as it portrayed it in the Blind Side movie, saying he was never adopted, anything of that nature. And he sued him for like $15 million, saying that that the movie that budgeted $29 million, but ended up making $300 million. He's saying that they made millions off. They made millions off the movie, and he didn't make anything off the movie. Now, the family said, their attorneys in air quotes said that they divvy up $14,000 between the family, including himself. Which, if they're saying that, there's got to be somebody's lying. There's got to be some documentation. There's got to be some kind of paper trail there. And nobody really made anything off of it. Sounds like they all kind of got ripped off, if you ask me. The movie made over $300 million. Okay. So he's saying one thing. The family's attorneys is saying another thing here, Like I said, I think that the guy has been out of his wife, by the way. So you kind of feel sorry for him. He's like, man, he got ripped off. But I look at his wife's got a clothing line and everything. And I look how pretty she is. And I thought, yeah, she's probably bucking him about money. And that's what's pushing this thing along. Like I said, the family said that this guy is demanding $15 million, or they're going to go public with this, So this strung out a whole conversation here in the internet world, whether you want to say X or Twitter, which is now X. People going back and forth here. But, I'll say this. My guess is the guy was doing well at the time the movie came out. He was a first round draft pick, went to Baltimore, Pickles, went up winning. He won that 2012, 2013 Super Bowl with the Ravens that year, a few years after being drafted. And, he thought he was going to play longer than he did. Now, he played 8 years, made $34 million. He probably thought he was going to make a lot more than that, playing starting left tackle in the NFL. So he got some setbacks there. He wrote 2 books on his own, one not being The Blind Side, and he's got another book coming out right now. Yeah, and People Magazine saying 2.3, and they're saying that's not true. They're saying that is not true. So somebody's lying. It'll all get proved out. There's probably a paper trail on it. Maybe they do settle with the guy. you know. And quite frankly, the family feels offended. They sold their business for over $200 million, you know. So either way, I hope it does get worked out for the guy. You hate to see somebody go down this lane to do something like this, but but my thing is, if they're claiming they hardly made any money, and he's claiming they hardly made any money, why is he suing the family over this when he should be suing Alcorn Entertainment and Warner Brothers? Because this is what produced the film, which means they put the money up, which means they got the money back. Alcorn Entertainment and Warner Brothers production, their budget was $29 million, and the movie made over $300 million. So why isn't he suing them instead of the family? You know, so it does seem a little fishy there. But I'm sure there's a paper trail, and I hope they do get it settled. Part of me thinks two things can be true at once. I don't like his approach to doing this. It seems kind of funny he's doing it now instead of when he was playing. And my guess behind that is he was probably, everything was going away, didn't really care. He said he didn't like the way he was being portrayed. He says he wasn't adopted. It was a conservatorship. They're saying, no, we had to do that to get you in college and to get you insurance to do the conservatorship, because that didn't look right in the NCAA while you staying here. They did the air quote conservatorship. The guy was 18 years old. People were talking about that like it was the Britney Spears thing and everything, which apparently it wasn't the case. I mean, if this movie is, and it was so big, that movie was so big at the time. How come he didn't have an agent in 2009 when the movie came out and say, hey, listen, where's my cut of the pot? His agent's not doing his job, So that sounds like he's really scraping that. And then, these people, he may be right. He may be right for all I know. But I do like to get Jason Whitlock's take on these certain things. But because he went back and said, hey, Jason Whitlock said, hey, look, man, I read the book he wrote. He says, I seen the movie and the Blind Side book. He said, I read the book, 2006 book. He said, I read Michael Oher's 2011 book. And then he says, and I watched the movie. It never says anything about air quote adoption. Listen up. Whitlock on the Michael Oher.
There's been this great lie in Hollywood, and everybody pretended and immortalized the story about how Michael Oher was adopted by this family. The movie doesn't do it. The book doesn't do it. And in 2011, Michael Oher wrote his own book, and he said it didn't happen. What is Michael Oher doing? What he's doing to the Tuohy family is despicable. He's telling an obvious lie that he knows most of the media will be too afraid to question because he's black. Plus, the media is lazy. It's easier to repeat Oher's allegations than to question and or research the legitimacy of them. It's also easier to just feel sorry for Michael Oher. He's broken. The first 15 years of his life are a tragedy. That's not my opinion. Read his book. His own words. His mother was addicted to crack cocaine.
Yeah. And, the guy's had a rough childhood. I would put mine against his any day of the week. He's got some that maybe top my stories. But Pickle says, People Magazine said 225 per first 2.5 net off for profit loss. And Jason Whitlock's right. Most of the media are lazy mother bleepers who will not do nothing. And we're in this, racially charged world right now where it's very profitable to kind of paint the white people as the evil devils, and all this. And really, it's as They put this guy in off the street. They around their daughter. They put her in off the street around the daughter, you know, and that's the thank you he gets. You know, that being said, I hope that he can work out something with the production company that they pay him back the money, because he probably needs the money. He probably needs the money. It sounds like he just needs the money. He's doing the book tour. That comes out the day after the little shakedown thing. The timeline simply does not add up from what being said. Okay. So let's see. I think I had another comment from Whitlock. Let me see. I think I had one more comment there from Whitlock, and I'll let this thing go. But it's a fashionable thing to do right now, you know. Fashionable thing to do. Let's see. Thought I had something here. There's supposed to be another Netflix documentary on Tyson Fury. I'm trying to watch that. Well, I'm trying to get them all in, Pickles, before I cut it off, you know, because I really can't afford it myself. But he said something at the 14-minute mark. Let's see what else, like more on Michael Orr's situation, if I can get it. But I've got this off the Spotify, which is so much easier than getting it off the YouTube, because they always throw that commercial in there. Let's see what he said. The 14th.
They exercise no control over his professional career. Let me give you this example. And I'm picking this up because I just did homework. I just read this man's own 2011 book. He told the Tuohys are longtime friends with NFL super agent Jimmy Sexton. The Tuohys wanted Orr to sign with Jimmy Sexton when he left Ole Miss for the NFL. Orr, by his own admission, chose a different agent. The Tuohys didn't object. He made a mistake. This agent he chose wasn't as good as Jimmy Sexton, had him working out, preparing for the draft with Michael Johnson, the Olympic sprinter, and this guy's an offensive lineman. And eventually, Michael Orr figured it out. Hey, I picked the wrong agent.
And yes, Jimmy Sexton is a super agent. I mean, this guy is Nick Saban's agent. He represents every major football coach that I can think of, particularly in college football. I'm sure he's got a lot of players. Guys like Nick Saban, I think Jimbo Fish, all those major coaches around the league, and he went with his own thing. So he's been doing his own thing, man. And like I said, I want him to get paid, but you hate to see him go through this route to get paid. But this is what's working in this world. And, you know, I didn't have the time to do it, but I should get you guys some quotes from Chris Rock's new stand-up. You know, he says one of his friends who was incarcerated, he said, man, it's nice and diverse. And, you know, this is really, you know, diverse and equitable place. And Chris is like, Chris Rock is like, what do you think? I got a wire on or something? It's me, man. You just got out of jail for doing manslaughter. You know, so it's this game that people are playing, and it's pumped by social media. So again, and you know, the son said something like, hey man, I still got love for my brother, blah, blah, blah. You know, hopefully all this will come to pass, and maybe he will sue this Warner Brothers or the production company and get some money, and everything will be everything. But it's an interesting thing. Now, if what's Pickle saying is true, the family should pay it up. But all this should come out in some type of paper trail. That kind of money being dispersed, it's easy to trace it down, if you ask me. All righty. Switching gears here. Speaking of TV. Okay. I have these days sometimes, folks, where I go to bed at like 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, and I'll wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning. All right. And I've already recorded the Jets on Hard Knocks last night. It was good. Very good. And made a few notes here. I saw the scrimmage that they did with the Carolina Panthers, speaking of the NFL. And Rodgers, at first it was no big deal. Then you could see the coaches saying, listen, man, they're getting too much push here on Aaron. We're going to have to do something about it. And then all of a sudden, I don't know if Joe Douglas did this, the Jets organization did this, or all of the above, but they immediately started showing Pickles Will McDonald. Will McDonald was the 15th overall pick, super athletic guy that I thought that maybe they would probably go offensive line depth there to put in. I mentioned this the other day with Jack Hirsch, by the way. A lot of you had contacted. You love Jack. Jack don't like to come on too much at night. I think Jack's a daytime guy. You could see him kind of complaining. Good interview. Go back and watch Jack Hirsch on last Thursday's Sports Scope. But I was bringing that up with Hirsch, where I wonder if it's going to come back and bite Robert Saloff for drafting this guy, Will McDonald. By the way, he's having a great camp. Phenom guy, very athletic, edge rusher from Iowa State. Maybe they should have took an Anton Harrison out of Jacksonville that went 27th overall. Because, again, Dwayne Brown is not even practicing yet. Micaiah Becton's moving all over the place. He wants to play left tackle. Robert Saloff wants to keep him inside or play him at right. They're moving Elijah Very Tucker around. And then on top of all that, looking in today's practice report, I made some notes about that as well. This Rich Kamani, he's the Jets reporter. I think he's with ESPN. He says, my count, Rodgers, this was today's practice too, coming in with the some notes here from Hard Knocks. He says Rodgers has been sacked 6 times in the last 10 dropbacks. His completions came on quick throws. The Bucs front is really good. They were practicing against the Bucs. They had the same problem against Carolina. Kamani says Rodgers downplays the O-line woes today, saying they handled themselves better up front last week versus Carolina, when you could see the sacks coming against Carolina too. He notes that the shuffling of the line, saying that there will be times soon that they will have to start building continuity. I told you I think that's going to be an issue. I think that was one of the big reasons for this team going after Dalvin Cook. They're going to look like the Green Bay Packers Pickles of the last few years, where Rodgers was when David Bakhtiari had been out. Remember, I want to say in December of 21, Bakhtiari, or it may have been 20, I can't remember. Means no, never mind. Bakhtiari gets a serious injury. I think he tears his ACL. Wasn't sure when he was going to come back. Wasn't sure. And Rodgers is doing a lot of this lateral at the line of scrimmage throws to Aaron Jones. So, excuse me. Sorry. A little tired here. It's a thing, I think. It really is. I think it's a thing with this Jets offensive line. They're going to have to move some people around. They're probably going to have to make another move and pick up another lineman. You're just curious of how much more. And, of course, it's going to be hard to do because the season's already started. You're going to have to wait till the trade deadline when maybe a Green Bay gets desperate. And what if they're at 500 and they want to keep Bakhtiari because they got a young quarterback? So you just never know how that is going to work out. But I do think it's going to be the Jets' Achilles heel, and they do not want to mention that they do not want to mention that on the they do not want to mention that on the program. But I'm telling you what the real problem is going to be. Talking trash to ex-coach with now with the Panthers. Yeah, I saw that. It was a funny episode. Other notes about that episode. I tell you what, Zach Wilson's learning a lot. Other observations. Rodgers, the quarterback room and the coach and coordinator, I think, were there, and they're there with Zach Wilson, one of the other quarterbacks, and they're looking at split screens pickles, and it's showing Rodgers with the handoff, okay, and they're saying, okay, which one is the right one? Right side, left side. One of these is going to be a handoff. The other one's going to be a play fake for a pass. Which one is it? And they did it. And the guy said, right is going to be a pass. And they played it, and it was a handoff. They said, okay, let's do it again. And then they did it the other way around. So he learned that, Pickles, from Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning could take that ball and put it just before Edgerrin James or Joseph Adai, but their stomach would touch the ball, and then he would pull it back and throw it. And I used to try to guess, watching Peyton beat up on the Titans all these years. I used to try to guess and play defensive coordinator in my mind. So, okay, Peyton is he's going to throw that ball upfield. And then he would let it go and let James have it. I was like, okay, this guy's totally got me confused. I'm never going to get – I tried it like 5 times, and Peyton had me beat every single time. That's where Rodgers learned that at. And Zach Wilson's looking at it like, wow, man. I mean, this little dude, he's really taken a lot of in from Aaron Rodgers. That was something that I noticed from yesterday's program. The guys are starting to fight a little bit. I noticed there were other fights in camp today. Dallas had a good one. Baltimore's always got a good one. There was a good one between Baltimore and the Commanders. Now, the Commanders, they play technically, in air quotes, in Landover, Maryland. Baltimore's in the city of Baltimore, and they seem to have something every year, and they have a scrimmage, and, there's always a good scuffle. I think that's kind of going through with everybody, and just in the nick of time, Rich has popped up on the screen. I just finished up that segment. Rich Ferris, what's up, man? You got to talk.
What's up,
dude?
How's it going?
Good. Is that a Titans? I like that Titans. Is that the baby blue Titans colors you wearing?
No, it's not a Titans one. It's it's just a polo.
Okay, you look good, brother. You look good. Now, I've got to ask you. A lot of people's talking about Trayvon Burks. I'm sure you've probably heard. Take a big sound. What was the buzz like when he went down today in practice, man?
Well, it was kind of like, your worst fear that you can't even, like Landry last year, you can't even have one of your stars on the field at all this season to contribute to the team. And that was kind of worst case thoughts that he tore his ACL and then or something similar for him to be out all season. But luckily, it looks like just a sprained LCL, and that he'll be hopefully back here in a couple of weeks to start the season.
That's what I was doing. Up until about, what was that, 4:30, 5 o'clock? I'm looking at refresh and Rappaport. refresh.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, you're right. Landry was real close to week 1 when he tore his ACL. And I'm like, man, they can't have this kind of luck again. You're kidding me. You're not kidding me. So I'm like you, man. That was pretty cool. And then Rappaport said it'll be a few weeks there. But was that what people were talking about at the practice, that it's probably something bad?
I mean, it's one of those things where it looks bad at first, and all your, worst fears come up, and you just get right with the wide receiving core once you get DeAndre Hopkins, and you feel really good about the wide receiving core. And then that happens, and you're like, oh my God, we're going to be back at square one.
Back to square one.
Luckily the MRI came back in somewhat good news with just a 2-week injury possibly.
So you think he'd probably be available week 1?
That's the hope. That he would be back. He's probably done for the preseason, but hopefully back for their opener in New Orleans for week 1.
Down in the Big Easy. Now, this may sound like a dumb question, but I'm just getting your opinion. Do you think any of these young quarterbacks, would you consider them to be the starter over Ryan Tannehill right now?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
No, not even close. Not even close. And it's kind of funny how that was a lot of the narrative, around the draft and the offseason. But Ryan Tannehill is juiced up for this season. Getting DeAndre Hopkins was a big thing, and they immediately have some chemistry. And nice. He just is, was this like season 13, 14 for him? Just a veteran pro that looks like if everybody can stay healthy, could have a really good year.
Man, that's great. Now, I recorded the game, went back and watched it, man, on Saturday, and it looked like how long did the first stream offensive line play? Did they just play like 1 or 2 series?
Yeah, it was only a series or 2.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just that first drive that ended up being a touchdown, and I think the next series, and that was it, if that.
Did any of the starters on defense play? Because I didn't see them in the box score.
No, they didn't have any starters that I can think of that were on defense, and that's been probably one of the bigger buzzes about this training camp is how good this defense looks right now and how dominant they've been in practices. Even today, lots of reports out of Minnesota was that the defense was dominating up there in Minnesota and had a lot of energy and just could be on pace to be one of the top defenses in the league this year.
Wow. Here's the $64,000 questions. Inquiring minds want to know, brother. How is that defensive line matching up against the Titans offensive line, the new look offensive line?
Yeah, so early on in training camp, the defensive line was whooping the offensive line. I mean, now that the pads are on and things are starting to even out a little bit, the offensive line's starting to gel a little bit, and even to the point where I would say they look pretty good. However, somebody like Big Jeffrey Simmons, is going to wreck shop regardless, and he's still doing that.
Man.
And then also Arden Key and the other linebacker, Azeez Al-Shaair, looks really good. Arden Key's been getting in the backfield several times and beating offensive linemen. And so that's really exciting considering that, this offseason they let go of Bud Dupree. You bring in Arden Key, and he looks like he's going to be a stud there for them this season.
My dad always used to quote Richard Petty, the great race car driver. He won 200 races.
That's what I was named after.
Huh?
I said that's what I was named after.
Was you really?
Believe it or not, yeah.
You know what his famous line is? He won a race backwards. Don't ask how it was. My dad showed it to me 1,000 times. And
like Ricky Bobby style, huh?
Yeah, Ricky Bobby style. His famous quote was, "I'd rather be lucky than good any day." And Pickles says, Arden Key wasn't that much money. It seemed like they stole this guy, man. Because I've been reading about him every day, but you know how sometimes the internet, this Turin Davenport seems like he seems like a nice guy, but he's too nice. He's too much of a homer.
Turin?
What do you really think this guy's playing that great?
Yeah. I think he's been the buzz of the defense. He brings a lot of energy. Everybody loves him. He's very boisterous. So you get out there, that's who you hear. He's out there chirping. He's talking smack and backing it up with his play. So he's been a very seemed like a really great addition to this defense. Brought some energy with him, and as well as Azeez Al-Shaair. And I think this defense is, like I said earlier, is going to be a really good unit as long as everybody can stay healthy.
Yeah. Okay. So did you get to see any of Justin Jefferson today?
No, I'm not in. They're in Minnesota. I'm not.
Oh,
there.
Okay.
They're doing their joint practices up there.
Since they're playing up there. Okay.
Yeah, and so I haven't seen anything as far as him specifically that stood out. I mean, he's obviously, top 3 best receiver in the league, and hopefully, I don't think he's going to play. I wouldn't play him this Saturday, but he's one of the best, in the league, and hopefully that helps. The corners that are guarding him. I'm interested to maybe go back and look at some of the clips that's been put out there to see if Christian Fulton may be lining up against him. Them being LSU college teammates. It's a while back. I'm interested to see if that was a matchup that took place today and maybe tomorrow.
Yeah. So, what's your thoughts on Fulton? How's his camp going so far? Speaking of the Devil.
Well, he was, his off season, the OTAs and everything, he was away from the team. He was in Miami training, and he came back. He put on some weight, bulked up a little bit, and it's a big year for him. He's a contract year,
right?
The whole off season talk with him and Vrabel, was Vrabel sort of calling him out a little bit about, hamstring injuries and soft tissue injuries, and seems like he's trying to answer the bell to all that, but. I need to pay more attention to him just to see where he is at. I'm not sure that anything's really stood out. I know a lot of people have been talking, and I've seen Sean Murphy-Bunting being a big help for this defensive back unit. And, there's a lot of talk about some of these, backup guys, which is a huge battle going, once you get past the first, 4 or 5 starters there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of undrafted rookies that look really good. If you're watching a preseason game against the Bears, you've seen a guy like Trey Avery, make an interception, and there's like 2 or 3 guys like him that are on that back end of the roster that are really playing hard and trying to earn a spot on the team.
So you've mentioned a lot of the guys that they've added in free agency have turned out to be. You mentioned Bunton. Adrian Key. How's Brunskill playing on the line?
Brunskill, is solid. They got him, mostly at right guard.
Yeah.
He's just been solid. He's a really smart veteran that, can play multiple positions. And, I think their offensive line right now is still gelling and still trying to improve. So it's still to be determined on him. But everything that I've seen and heard is that he's a very smart player. He might be the type of guy that will end up being a coach eventually, just because of how smart he is with football. And so hopefully, hopefully they'll continue to improve, and he'll be a big part of that.
Man, that's great. Okay, here's the important part here. Now, Willis and Levis. Who's playing better at this time, Richard?
Well, Malik Willis is. I mean, that showed in the preseason game. He's been in this system he's been with the team for going to his second season. He's obviously knows more about the offense and what to do, and he's had a year to learn what the league is. So he's obviously improved from last season and looks pretty good. Right now as the number 2 quarterback. But as far as talent for talent, I've mentioned this before, Will Levis has got more talent, he's got more arm strength, I think once he puts his game together, just like Malik Willis, this time next year, he'll probably be way ahead just because of his talent alone.
Okay, so that's how so if you had to pick a depth chart right now, would you put Levis behind Tannehill? Or would you put
no? I think Malik Willis is at the quarterback, backup quarterback spot right now.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
I mean, they're going to likely carry all 3 of those guys.
Okay.
So, it's one of those things where, the veterans just got the edge right now just because he's got the experience.
Yeah.
And so we'll see as the preseason continues how much more Will Levis will step up and possibly push for that quarterback 2 spot.
Yeah, because their stats are. Hey, Seth, good to see you again.
Up,
Chad
guy?
says they signed another running back. Did you know who they signed?
Yeah, they had a couple of injury. Well, they had, I think, Jonathan Ward, one of the 4th, 5th string running backs, get banged up in the Bears game. So they signed another running back. I can't remember the name, but just another kind of back into the roster guy.
Yeah,
that's there to be a body and fight to try to make the team.
Yeah. Okay, Ron Darby. They brought in Ron Darby. Do you think they're going to sign him? I know they brought him in the other day, former cornerback from Denver.
Never know. I mean, that's what happens every week in the NFL. Is they, the back end of the roster, they just churn that stuff out, whether it be because of a matchup or because they like somebody's skill set and think that they can, help improve the team or help push guys on the depth chart.
Yeah.
So I think they also do a lot of homework. Well, if they need a spot, if they need to go and sign a veteran guy because somebody got hurt or they decide to part ways with somebody, then they've already looked at him and know what that person can bring and, can later on sign them if they need to.
Yeah. Before I forget this, Colton Dowell, is that his name?
Dow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. A Lebanon kid. How's he doing, man? He got a catch the other day in the game.
Yeah, I think he's probably one of the most humble guys on the team. I think
nice.
There was a little video where they were trying to wish Coach Vrabel happy birthday. His birthday was 2 days ago, and everybody's kind of trying to make fun of him, and he's like the only one that comes by, and he's like, "Oh, I'm not going to do that, but I'm just going to say thank you for taking a chance on me," and and so
nice.
Being from Lebanon, close by, and growing up here. It's got to be, a lifetime, something that you would dream of, to do.
Childhood dream. What's he 6? I mean, he's got the ideal size, speed.
Oh yeah, everything. Size, speed. But I think he might be a guy that's going to end up on the practice squad eventually.
Oh wow, man, that's disappointing.
I don't know if he's necessarily ahead of, I don't think this is a very deep wide receiver. I think they may take like 5 guys, into the regular season.
Yeah.
Depending on injuries, hopefully they don't have any more. But there's a really good battle, just like the cornerbacks on the back end of the wide receiver depth chart.
Yeah.
There's a Kearis Jackson, I believe that's from the guy from Georgia, undrafted.
Okay.
Is playing really well. He's also helping out on special teams, punt returns, kick returns. There's a guy that's back,
Racy
Roberson. McMath, he's been here for a few years. He's, on that back end too, that's fighting for a spot. I think he was the leading receiver in the Bears game. Lot to be determined with him. And then another guy, Roberson, that's been in and out of the off the team past couple of years. He's kind of there fighting too, making plays and I think with Vrabel too, a lot of these guys that are on the back end are having to prove themselves on special teams, and some of these guys are doing that.
Is Spears ahead of Haskins in the running back room?
Oh, 100%. I mean,
that's what I thought.
That dude's very talented. He showed, he only had 6 carries in the Bears game, but man, he made the best of it. He looked like he could be the starter next year if they decide to move on from Derrick Henry.
Wow. Okay, so he's shining in practice.
Oh yeah, I mean the biggest thing that's worked for him is he's a very good receiver. He can run a lot of routes. He's pretty much can run any route receiver wise as a running back, and very smart and makes a lot of nice shifty moves as you've probably seen in the Bears game. Had a little nice stiff arm on one of the defenders, which I'm sure Derrick Henry loved.
Oh, so, I love that, man.
He looks good, but so does I would even put maybe Julius Chestnut, undrafted guy that probably ahead of Haskins at this point. He's really showed out not only as a 3rd, 4th string running back, but also on special teams. He's one of their kick returners. that's been playing well on special teams.
Yeah, yeah. Anybody else that's stood out for you that nobody else maybe might not be talking about?
I mean, Tajay Spears is the guy who's stood out the most, that I've been most impressed with of the team overall.
Was he in the third round or the fourth round? Do you recall?
He was their third round pick this year. There's like I mentioned, a couple of the wide receivers like Kearis Jackson, and there's another guy that's can't remember his name, but there's a couple of like undrafted guys that are really playing hard, and another one's Jaden Peavy. He's probably their third or fourth string D tackle, nose tackle. He's been working really hard. He's been showing a lot of improvement. He was here last year, mostly on the practice squad and stuff, but he's really picked up. And this defensive line is very deep with guys like him.
What's Landry looking like? Is he getting any reps?
Harold Landry, he's looked fine. He's 100% healthy. He's
nice.
Just quietly, getting through preseason and training camp, and hopefully he has a big year on the other side of Arden Key. Yeah.
So essentially, you're saying if those guys played against the Bears, Titans would have smoked them up there, wouldn't they?
Well, I don't know if there would have been a stat line for why am I blanking on his name? The quarterback. It was 3 for 3.
Fields.
Justin Fields was 3 for 3 for 162 yards and 2 touchdowns. I don't think that would have been a stat line, but that's good that most of the starters aren't playing, because you don't want to see them get hurt.
Right. That is true. That is true, man. Okay, not if there's anything else. Now is your show just one night a week, and this is 9:00 Central, Big Rich and Tan?
Big Tan and Rich is Thursdays. We recorded around 7, but put it out 9:00 for everybody to hear. Every Thursday, 9:00, wherever you get your podcast, we're on there.
Yeah. So you're saying Chestnut, Justin Fields looks ready to roll. Yeah, Pickles.
I'd pump the brakes on Justin Fields. I mean, he had a great stat line there, but those 2 touchdown passes that went for, I mean, he threw the ball maybe 10 yards, and the other guys did the rest.
Right. I mean, you put that kind of money into an offseason around him. Who's it? DJ Moore.
Yeah, DJ Moore is incredible.
Draft capital. He's got to do something.
Yeah. Yeah, DJ Moore is a very good wide receiver, and probably on, low on a lot of people's radars of how good he is.
Yeah. Yeah, with you and Seth, y'all going to be fighting over at Justin Jefferson. You guys still do fantasy?
Yeah. We still have our fantasy football league that I think our draft's coming up here week after next.
He said Justin had a -2 errors. Yeah.
It was all the first pass to DJ Moore was a screen, like a bubble screen, that he just took to the house, and the other one was a pass to their backup running back that was, like 5 yards out. So so a lot of that was more so the receiver and the running back making the play, and versus Justin Fields, making an incredible throw downfield for a big touchdown.
Man, a little bubble screen here and there. He still has problems reading defenses. I mean, it's put up or shut up for that guy, and I'm sure they've got a plan B in the back of their head somewhere. They still got plenty of cap room. I mean, they've got a lot of options up there in Chicago. I think
they've gotten, adding him. They still have Chase Claypool. They have a pretty good tight end.
Yeah.
They're this is a big year to really know if Justin Fields is their guy or not.
Yeah, defense is better. I mean, they spent a lot of money, and they still got money left over. So, although it would look good fantasy-wise if Moore would have stayed there with Bryce Young, right?
Possibly. That's kind of to be determined of how well Bryce Young will, do this year. I mean, rookie quarterbacks typically don't have that, great a year. Joe Burrow might be an exception as of, recently, but it's kind of amazing sometimes. Like I've actually, seen Bryce Young up close, but to see him in the NFL, I mean, he is not a very big guy.
Y'all, you guys are eye to eye, aren't you?
What's that?
You and Bryce Young, you're eye to eye?
Oh, I'm taller than Bryce Young. I'm probably like 2 inches taller than that guy.
You're taller than you. See, there you go. There you go. I mean, people were clapping when he got up the other day. I was on another show. He was
a great quarterback at Alabama. I mean, there's no doubt. He's a Heisman Trophy, won the Heisman Trophy, earned that. Yeah. Was in the running last year, and very smart, very good quarterback. It's just he's very small.
Yeah. I've been saying people are glad he just got up after getting sacked. Like, okay, that's good. Watching him practice.
But he's definitely not the smallest guy in the league. The Cowboys got Deuce Vaughn, running back from was it Washington? That his dad's actually the running backs coach for Kansas State. Yeah. For the Cowboys, and watching him run behind NFL linemen is I mean, he's literally like almost half their size.
Did you see? And I feel tall to that guy, right? I'm 5'7.5". There's a video out of him blocking Dante Fowler, who's like 6'3", 2+.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't level him. This wasn't Maurice Jones-Drew.
I was about to mention him, how he was a little bowling ball, but
I forgot the other. Who did he level? Oh God, I'm the defensive end for the Chargers.
They used to do the lights out dance.
Yeah.
I can't think of his name either, but
it'll come to me here in a minute.
Yeah, that dude. That dude. Yeah. He still talks about it because it's probably all he's got left to hold on to. But
it'll come to me here. Oh man, it keeps popping in my head there. Pickles will know. But he leveled that guy. But this guy did hold his block. Deuce Vaughn and Tajay Spears are two of the biggest gems found in this draft. Both of them little bitty guys.
I wouldn't say Tajay's a small guy. I think he's 5'10", 205, 210. He's not small.
Oh, he just runs low is what you're saying.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I can't really know how to categorize his running style, but he's not a small running back.
Yeah. He just looked. Well, you're telling me all kinds of good news today. Yeah, man. I don't know why I can't remember that guy's name, but it was a funny story there. The defensive end, Sean Marion.
I knew it was Sean something. I just couldn't think of the last
name. Yeah. He would do the little cha-cha. Remember, there was a little back and forth with the Titans with him. Remember?
Well, I think he had a lot of back and forth with a lot of people in the league.
Yeah, he talks a lot of trash. He's a little
the type
dirty.
of guy he is. Yeah.
DeMarcus Ware. Bill Parcells is like, I wanted Marion. And Jerry Jones like, no, I want this guy from Troy. He's quicker. And DeMarcus Ware, and every time in practice, first season, Bill Parcells is telling DeMarcus Ware, hey, you know Sean Marion had 3 sacks last week. And DeMarcus Ware said, listen, you put me on the outside, I get 4 sacks. So Parcells looks, he said, okay, you go to the outside then. Go to the far
They made the right
outside.
choice because DeMarcus Ware, I think, went into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, he went to the Hall of Fame last week, man, or a week before last. And, of course, he got the sack, and then he looked back at Parcells, and Parcells said, you stay there. And he said that made me feel good. So Jerry Jones, kudos to him. By the way, folks, I'll have Jim Jeffcoat in tomorrow. I'm going to ask him, interesting story. Tune in tomorrow, Rich, before you do your show. I don't know what time. You don't
start
record
around 7.
Okay. Well, you can tune in anytime. It's replay. But I'm going to ask Jim Jeffcoat this. Jimmy Johnson mentioned this in his book. Edmund Smith held out the first 2 weeks in the 93 season. He wanted to get a pay raise, contracts, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And the Cowboys just come off a Super Bowl win. They lose those first 2 games, if you recall. And Charles Haley in the locker room throws his helmet at Jerry Jones and says, pay the man. And Jimmy Johnson swears that it's a true story. Well, Jim Jeffcoat played on that team. I'm going to ask him that tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
Because I can't get Jimmy to come on. And Charles Haley's crazy, you know. According to Jimmy Johnson's book, you know, he's bat bleep crazy. He's bipolar and everything, but he's got 5 Super Bowl rings, you know.
Yeah.
If you listen to him,
another just thinking of Cowboys defensive tackles, Jeffrey Simmons' uncle is I just blanked on his name, but his uncle was defensive tackle for the Cowboys for a long time. I'll have to look his name up.
Did they win the Super Bowl?
He was I don't know if he was there for their Super Bowl years. He was a little bit more recent, but I know he's been a big part of Jeffrey Simmons' career as a mentor and helps him a little bit on the business side and everything.
Dexter Lawrence, maybe? I don't know.
No, Dexter Lawrence is still playing. This guy's not playing anymore.
Pickle says Harvey Martin, maybe. I don't know. It's hard to memorize a lot of the newer guys. I'll tell you what, though. Dallas got a good team this year, man.
Yeah. Hold on, I can tell you in just a second. I'm looking it up.
But Sean Merriam, yeah. Jones Drew, that is a textbook. How do you block a bigger, faster guy? 5 foot, what is he? 5'6", but he's really wide, Jones Drew.
Yeah, he's a thick body guy. Jason Hatcher is who Jeffrey Simmons' uncle.
Man.
That I was trying to think of. So you can give that nugget to your friend tomorrow, Jim Jeffcoat. I'd be curious to see what he thought about Ezekiel Elliott going to the Patriots too.
Yeah. Well, I think
they were talking about bringing him back just because of their current. I can't think of his name either. Current running back is still mending his injury from last year.
Pollard.
Yeah.
Well, Deuce Vaughn's killing it, man. I mean, he had 50 yards and a touchdown the other day. You know, and plus Kareem Hunt's still out there. I mean, there's some running backs out there, man.
Yeah.
You know, Cook just got signed with the Jets. I was just talking about that before you got on.
The Jets they're going to have to figure something out because they have like 2 or 3 young running backs that could be good if they had the
opportunity.
Rodgers
got sacked 6 times a day in practice, though, against the Tampa. He's putting on a smiley face, but I think he's going to be throwing the ball at the line of scrimmage a lot the way he did it with Green Bay.
They're doing a joint practice in Tampa Bay. Is that what you said?
Yeah. And then they did one in Carolina the other day, and he wasn't happy about that either. So this Will McDonald, he's having a good camp. He's their edge rusher. They took it 15. I was thinking maybe they should. I was telling Jack Hurst, big Jets fan, had on last Thursday, maybe they should have took an offensive lineman to help that depth there because you're not sure about Dwayne Brown and you're not sure about Micaiah Becton, both of them coming off injury. Brown still ain't came back. He's 37-year-old left tackle. So if they can block for Rodgers, sky's the limit. I mean, they got a top 5 defense, but you know, Rodgers being 40, you know, I mean, and then you got Zach Wilson in there if he re-aggravates that calf injury, you know. So
I'll say this about Will McDonald. He's going to be a stud too.
You've been watching him too?
Well, I mean, even before, like in college, I was
nice.
pretty high on him from Pittsburgh, and reminds me a lot of, Aaron Donald from.
Oh, okay.
I thought you were going to say
Javon Kearse because he's they've been putting him on as edge rusher.
No, he's smaller but he's Aaron Donald. Like he's very quick, but he is smaller. I think he's only like 270 as a D tackle.
I don't think he's got them long arms and fingers like Kearse did.
No,
the freak.
No, Kearse is still in incredible shape.
Hey, does he ever show up to practice and hang out?
I seen him actually at the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame ceremony a few weeks ago.
Nice.
Still looks in incredible shape and just looks a little older, but he's still in incredible shape and still a freak.
Bring him in on third downs, maybe.
He would probably tell you his playing days are long over, but still hits the gym pretty good.
I hear you, brother. Hey, man. thanks again. I'm gonna have to bring you on definitely before the season. See what you think and check out Big Rich and Tan there. Let me make sure I get y'all's show right there.
Big Tan and Rich.
Big Tan and Rich.
Yep.
There we go.
Yep. Yeah, give us a listen. You can.
Yeah. So what are y'all gonna be talking about this week? You don't know.
I don't know. Yet? We probably we probably want to dive into some NFL and talk some preseason. Probably a little bit of getting ready for the season. We have a couple of topics that we're trying to get to.
Okay.
We also have a new segment called Fitness Report where we evaluate pros and cons of different topics. So, check us out.
Yeah.
Tomorrow night, 9 o'clock.
Football, I'll be checking it out. I love talking football. I can talk football 365 days a year, man. So, thanks, Seth. Hey, Rich, stay in touch, brother.
Will do.
All right, man. All right, everybody. Again, tomorrow, 30 minutes past the hour, Jim, Jeff, Cole. Gonna get in. I got some good questions for Jim now. And I'm gonna ask him straight up, how good is this team gonna be? I'm not a huge Dallas fan, but I call it like I see it. They're gonna be a good team this year. They have a shot potentially to be in the Super Bowl bubble, everybody. So have a good night, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow, same place, same time, here on Sports Scope.